Hello, Debbie Mandel. How are you today?
Oh, I'm wonderful. My
Uh,
garden is blooming.
and you're blooming inside too because I've enjoyed reading your blogs on intent.com. You're an avid voice blogger there, and you're a specialist on strength management. What your intent on there is to actually turn stress into strength. So I would love to hear tell us some tips and so that we can gain an understanding about what is stress and how we can manage it better and all this. So can you first tell us what is actually stress on a scientific level and on a more general level, I guess?
Well, on the scientific level, stress is a surge of hormones triggered by adrenaline. You'll have cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, powerful hormones inflaming your body and so your mind. Stress hormones lodge longest in the brain, which plays havoc with memory. So if you find yourself being forgetful because it's in your hippocampus, and the goal is to move these inflammatory hormones out of your body because currently, according to the medical community, inflammation is the root cause of disease, especially for the cardiovascular system. And if you're not heart smart, you're not going to be brain smart. It can also cause depression, and along with the emotional moods, somehow there's a link to pain. So if you're experiencing various aches and pains in your body, check your stress levels.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I
And
was gonna
so,
ask you just related
mhm.
to that, and then later on we can come back to the more general sense of stress and what type of stress we have in our life. But on a scientific level, yeah, and then what happens is that we take medicines, right, to reduce that inflammation when it seems like it's really something else to deal with here.
Right, and you're not really targeting the root cause.
Yeah.
People are wondering why we have an obesity epidemic
Mm.
in the world, and it is triggered by stress. Your hormones are out of balance, you're out of balance. You really lose yourself. Ironically, when you're stressed and you're on fire, you feel hyper vigilant. That's when you're going to send the email you should not have sent, because when you're in your right mind, you would never do it. Also, we get numb. Our senses get numb because we are surging with hormones. We lose our sex drive, many of us. We get very, especially women,
Mm.
we get very upset. We walk around fatigued. We don't realize the kind of disease process that stress triggers, along with exacerbating existing symptoms. So if someone has psoriasis, they'll have it worse. The goal in life is balance,
Mm.
homeostasis.
Mm.
And that way, your mind and your body work together in synchrony and in good energy.
Mm. Beautiful. So there's two types of stress that you describe. Is that correct?
Yes, there's acute stress, which is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's performing on deadline. It wakes up your immune system. We're all worried about the flu this year, H1N1. Well, your immune system being boosted a little bit here and there with stress is wonderful for you.
So that's a good stress.
Yes, that's good because we can't live stress-free. And then there is the eroding, depleting, disease-producing kind, sapping your
Heavy.
vitality. That's chronic stress, and according to research studies from Harvard, it can cost your mortality risk about 25% from the rest of the population when you are chronically stressed. So you need to really recognize
Mm.
the stress symptoms, your heart beating faster, you're being tired, irritable, eating out of balance, sedentary, losing your motivation, not sleeping right, loose mind, feeling unhappy, and address it because it's bad for you on every level.
And that's when we should just stop there. And then what? And then what?
Okay. Well, when you have this burst of stress, it's very hard to just stop.
Yeah.
I suggest you take a walk, dance it out. Housework counts too.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do, move it out of your body, get rid of the hormones. Now, I can't promise you 5 minutes of that kind of movement. If you're very stressed, you might need an hour. You should exercise according to the intensity of your stress because activity alleviates anxiety. Get rid of the hormones just like Neanderthal man did with fight or flight. He was either fighting with the tiger or he ran from it or he was eaten, but let's hope we're not.
But really work it and get it out. Get it out, get it out as much as possible.
Yes, move it out of your body. I like fusion therapies, like walking out in the natural light with headphones for upbeat music that I like, and having an intention, like I'm walking to take my legs are getting stronger to take me to my next happiness. So I have sunlight, vitamin D, and if I'm out in nature, well, I can reset my natural rhythm. It's very important to be in rhythm because when I'm in rhythm with nature and myself, I'll be in rhythm with other people. I'll be in rhythm at work.
But unfortunately, we do get addicted to those things, don't we? So how can we get out of this loop? I mean, a lot of things are happening right now in the world. We're more stressed than ever before, and how do we get out of that trance?
Well, we have to start small, small steps, giant gains, and deal with the little stressors we can deal with because they accumulate and they overwhelm. That means eating as balanced as we can, drinking water, right? Simple things like that. Some exercise. You're getting upset at work? Take a walk and come right back. 5 minutes. Go to the water cooler and back. Look at something funny. Humor breaks negativity instantly. In fact, activate your comic side and have a screensaver that's funny just to, push you to the other side. We take ourselves so seriously, don't we?
Yeah.
And have your ways set, prepare in advance so that you don't descend into the abyss when it's harder. Have a friend you can call for just a quick pick-me-up, like a word of cheer. Very important. I have a good memory aid for you to really live in balance because that's the goal of stress management. Everybody, I don't care where you live, you have 4 rooms in your house. The physical room, the emotional room, the intellectual room, and the spiritual room. Walk into each room every day. So you do your physical room, that's eating balanced food and mood, and you do your exercise, and you make time to rest and recover because life is a series of recoveries and we need that time. Your emotional room, you ask yourself, do I want to do it or don't I want to do it? Am I doing this because I ought to do it? Well, that's not a good recipe for feeling good about yourself. Talking to yourself kindly. So these are the emotional things you need to ask yourself. Finding the passion that makes your heart sing. That's the emotional room. The intellectual room. Our conversation right now is so intellectual. 3 words somebody can say to you randomly at a supermarket could change your life. Listen. Look at where your eyes are drawn to. Is there a poster? There could be
Be
a
more
message for you.
present.
Yes, be present and be alive and alert. Absorb, inhale. But when you're stressed, you're not. You're unfocused and you're loose. So check that out. And of course, read. You can read my book, Addicted to Stress. I won't. And I
Yeah.
read. I read a lot of books. But sometimes I need to talk to people and learn from them.
Yeah, but
So that's one.
as you said, there's a difference though between men and women. We deal differently with stress, don't we? Women, we need to talk it out. Men have a
Yes.
different way. They don't express as much their emotions sometimes. Yet they definitely know how to deal with stress, and it seems to be actually a martyr more for them than for us. No, I don't know. Can you tell us?
Yes. Women have a deeper limbic system in the brain than men. So it's true. When a man thinks a woman is emotional, that's how she's hardwired. She gets into a worry loop. And she was raised as the caretaker of the family. And she was raised to be a good little girl and to be responsible for everyone's happiness. And does she measure up? And all of these things are happening for her. Men tend to deal with it quietly. They don't want to feel like they don't measure up in the sense that they're not at the top of the hierarchy. They have the pressure of being the provider. So if they emote too much, then that makes them weak and they feel like a failure. So we have to learn about communication between the sexes and understand that. To men, women talking so much about it makes them feel weaker and like they can't help you. Women feel better by getting it out, but beware that too much talking brings the negativity alive, and we do want to let it go. And we
Yeah.
women need to learn to let it go.
Yeah, and it seems that men have learned a lot from women, and there is some new generation of men that are open to conversations that are sharing their feelings and and it seems also that we seem when we're stressed or think life is stressful, then we're going to attract even more people with stressful stuff and
Yes, you
more
do.
stress. So it's a
It's
mindset, isn't it? It's
contagious. Yes.
contagious. So there's toxic people out there, and they.
See, the worst thing in a relationship is being suppressed and
Mm,
silenced. So that will cost you in heart health as well. So men are learning that. That is true. And women are learning from men to be more direct.
exactly.
Now, because stress attracts toxicity, those vampires that we all read about, they gravitate to you when you are stressed and when you just do things to please people. So what can you do if you're a people pleaser at a cost to yourself? So what you really need to image, and I find this helps a lot of people, is a giant screen door. And you're right behind that screen door, which is locked. It lets the fresh air in, but keeps the flies out. You can open it and admit people that you want to, that you trust. But when you don't, and your intuition tells you, then don't open the door. And that's the barrier that you set up for yourself. Because remember, we have 4 rooms in the house, and we had touched on 3. The last one is the spiritual room. And being kind to yourself is spiritual. It's not just prayer. Prayer is very good. But it's those genuine acts of kindness to others and to yourself, the civilities. Because when we're stressed, we're rude and abrupt and dismissive. Let's not dismiss ourselves either.
So, in that spiritual section of the house, I guess it's about embracing who we are at our core, at embracing our true essence, and that unconditional love, and being unconditionally loving towards ourselves.
Yes, and to start that, because it's hard to have unconditional love for the self, because we come with baggage and we
Yeah.
carry them. But through reflection, through speaking to ourselves kindly,
Mm-hmm.
through creating time for the self because I'm worth it,
Mm.
that begins the journey. I'm very big on positive reinterpretation. That's called reframing. That's the last section of Addicted to Stress. And what we learn from that is there are facts. We can make up a story about it. We don't know an absolute truth because there is no review board following us around saying you're right or you're right, because human nature is to self-justify. So I would rather make up a good story about the facts rather than a negative. Start small. You're in a restaurant. The waiter has not brought you the water. You've requested it 3 times. Now, you can get angry. It could ruin your meal. Or you could finally call him over and say, I'm sorry you're having a hard day, because now I've created a story. He's got a difficult life. He's supporting a family. His mother is sick, and so forth. And then watch the waiter become so pleasant again and say, oh, I'm so sorry. You can have free dessert. Well, sometimes it works. But in any case, begin with that. Cut people slack.
Yeah.
No one is a mind reader, and that will help you build up a reflex action. So when something bad happens, you can go to the positive, let it go, and move forward.
And let our inner light shine.
That's very important for you, because I don't want to carry around anger, road rage in my living room. I want to be at ease, because I'm best at what I do when my mind is free and unencumbered. I can be creative. And to me, creativity, as you were saying, is the core. That's what you're meant to do. Find your mission, because stress will rob you of identity. You need to find out who you are, where you're going with all this, and do you fit in, or do you even need to fit in?
Exactly. As you said, you always have a choice.
Yes, so practice in the 4 rooms of your house every day, and find things that make your heart sing every day, and watch that spread to others and make your life so much more meaningful and joyous. Naturally express yourself. Take off your mask.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It was really, really interesting. And I guess you have a website, you have a few websites, and we can also find you on intent.com, but you have debbiemandel.com, turnonyourinnerlight.com.
And addictedtostress.com.
And Addicted to Stress. Yeah, definitely your book is a must for people that want to turn this around into strength, stress into strength.
Yes, I have lived that life, having taken care of 2 parents with Alzheimer's and my 3 children, my husband, my dog, my mother on one arm with Alzheimer's, and my baby in a stroller. And I can tell you that life is wonderful, and wherever you're at, embrace that moment, and you will get through it. So a lot of what I've done is merge science with story and lived it viscerally. And that's what I like to bring to my readers.
Thank you very much, Debbie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.